What's going on, folks? TJ Lauerman, aka That Sports Gamer here, head of Community 4 Out of the Park Developments. And tonight, joining me to talk about the Baseball America Prospects League that we're going to be doing is JJ Cooper from Baseball America. JJ, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. You know, technical difficulties aside, everything seems to be working. I think our levels are similar, so people can hear us both quite equally.
Any level where I'm on it, I'm generally going to be very loud because that's just who I am.
Well, that's good. That means you're passionate, probably.
That is true. That is true.
We've teamed up with Baseball America to do a cool little prospects league where we're going to have each of the 30 teams represented by a team of prospects set up by Baseball America. If you don't know what Baseball America is, JJ can give us a little background about that.
So Baseball America's been around. We were the crazy idea of a guy named Alan Simpson in 1981 that he wanted to cover minors and the draft and college baseball and all levels of baseball development and the majors at a level that hadn't been done before. And that's what we're trying to do still almost 40 years later. You know, we focus on prospects, the draft, high school, college, international, all that. We do cover the majors too, but that's why I'm very excited about this, because we're going to not do this. You know, we're not going to sim a 162 of the major leagues. Not that that's not great. I've done that myself on OOTP, but we're going to look at prospects and we're going to look at how all 30 teams prospects match up against each other. And I'm really fascinated to see how this plays out over the next 3 months.
Yeah. And you were actually, I know you had an article over on Baseball America, I think like 2 weeks ago, talking about how they might add a Florida Fall League to go along with the Arizona Fall League. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
So basically this year being the weirdest baseball year that we've ever seen, and by the way, seems like we do have MLB baseball literally, you know, confirmation on that as we go live here on Twitch. The minor leagues aren't playing, obviously, and there doesn't seem to be really a scenario where the minor leagues are going to play. But everyone wants to figure out a way to get their prospects innings at bats, much needed innings at bats. And so the best answer we seem to have right now is to take the Arizona Fall League, which normally has 6 teams. So basically you have multiple teams giving 6-7 players per organization to play together. Instead, we're going to have a situation where instead we're going to look at it and say, okay, we may have 30 teams. We may have 15 in Arizona, 15 in Florida, coronavirus permitting, and let every organization basically just field a full roster of their own prospects and see how they all match up.
Yeah, everything I've heard is that the only real minor league stuff is going to be some sort of like a taxi team that's going to be practicing close to the main team, but that doesn't seem like a great way to develop a player or anything, but just
they're
keeping
not
guys
going to be able to play full games probably. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to have enough players, so it's going to be the fall league is our hope, if not instructs. It's going to be it's a sad year for prospect development, just along with a lot of other things.
I mean, I guess unless you're hurt and you're coming back, I guess it's good. That's the one bright spot.
Missing time. You know, everyone else is missing time too. You know, although if you needed to get a Tommy John, there was a little time there where it was a little difficult, but yeah, it is something where, other than that, this is bad for a whole lot of people.
There's got to be a silver lining somewhere that we can try to look for. All right, so we set up this team, we set up all these teams based on the rosters that you guys sent over. I know people want to know about some of the settings and stuff in the franchise.
I want to know about some of the settings.
Well, Alex, our great support guy, set it all up for us. Big shout out to him. AZ Axel in the chat. Actually, he just had a call with him a couple hours ago, going over all the stuff. So we turned off pretty much anything that is going to make a player change, because we want to go with what they are right now and play the season. So personality stuff, the morale system, player development's off, injuries and suspension is off, fatigue is just regular average fatigue. Scouting accuracy is going to be set to 100% based on their ratings. No trades, 25-man rosters are going to be locked. And there's also no coaching staffs. So we're not going to have, some guy that plays first who's going to start becoming a better power hitter because of the hitting coach or anything. They're just using the tools that they already have, and we're going to see what they can do. We also did a OOTP Now podcast yesterday with Rich that came out today, talking about some of this stuff. And we kind of went over some of the teams that we're really interested in. So maybe we can hop in and take a look at one of the teams that you want to talk about.
Absolutely. I think I want to start with your Braves.
My Braves, I love them so much.
I just think that this is a team that when you look at kind of the balance that they have, again, I'm fascinated to see how this plays out. But one of the things that stands out to me is that a team that has more kind of close to the majors prospects probably is going to fare better than a team of really talented prospects, but prospects who are a little further away. I don't think that there's a rotation in this game that is going to match what we look at right there. Bryce Wilson, Kyle Wright, Kyle Muller, Ian Anderson, Patrick Weigel. That's a staff of guys, all of whom have upper-level minors experience, several of whom have major league experience, several of whom I expect to pitch in the majors for that team this year now that we know there's going to be baseball. And you throw in, like, Tucker Davidson doesn't crack that rotation, so you end up making Tucker Davidson a really good reliever. You add in, a Jeremy Walker, who's, again, another upper-level guy. The pitching staff for them is really good. But then I look also at the lineup, and it's not as deep as the pitching staff, but at the same time, if I've got Christian Pache and Drew Waters in the middle of the lineup, Willie Contreras, that's really good. But on top of that, I would also say, Braden Shoemake was a first-round pick last year. And but not only that, but he did make the Double-A last year. So I expect him in the game, in the sim, to play pretty well, not be a guy who's overmatched. So I just think that this is probably one of the best top to bottom teams we have on here, and especially when it comes to the pitching staff.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here, I love kind of looking through this, and it's like, okay, let's see. You don't have a whole lot of the one I'm going to be interested in, who's a little further away. Brice Paul has big power, had a monster debut last year, but at the same time doesn't have the upper level experience. That's where, if I'm worried if there's a weakness for this Braves team, we're batting him pretty low in the lineup. There could be some issues there. Not great defensively either. So that's where potentially I could see some issues for this. But that's one of the things that, if that happens, we may adjust on the fly. These rosters, we're not setting these where these are locked in. We're absolutely saying, as we've got the whole organization for all these teams to choose from, and so we may move someone in, may move someone out, because of that possibility.
Things can happen. Yeah, I'm interested in this Braves team. I really want them to do good, mainly because I like the Braves, but yeah, that pitching staff, that's multiple MLB level talent. I mean, some of them did earn their way back to AAA, but in something like this, I could see them doing very well. And like we said, the ratings are based on where we think they are right now. We're not like playing into their future and more building them out to their potential. It's where we think they are right now as a player. And Christian Pache looks really good.
Yeah, he should be. He's one of the. I mean, he's probably the best defensive outfielder to be center fielder in the minors. You throw in top of that, that the reality of it is that he's also blazing fast. He's developed his power. He's close to big league ready. He's going to be a stud in this sim. I have very little doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm very ready for that. I did find another stud today. When I was clicking around, I found a guy I've never heard of. Until today. Came from the Dodgers to the Reds. Ibandel Isabel.
Massive power. Some of the best power that you're going to find.
I think
a lot of strikeouts that go with it.
I think he hit like 90 home runs.
Harder.
I think he hit like 90 home runs. I think it was 90 home runs over like the last 3 years, somewhere around there between high A and I think Double A.
Yeah. No, no one hits the ball harder.
But also
in the minors.
But between 17 and 18, he struck out 330 times, and another 150 last year. So
I remember watching him when he was still a Dodger in the backfields in a spring training game, and I feel like I got the complete Ibandel Isabel experience. First time up, strikeout. Second time up, strikeout. Third time up, strikeout. Fourth time up, home run that basically didn't land for about 4 days. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's not a bad day. If you strike out 3 times and homer once, you've contributed to your team.
Yeah, he's definitely earned the 70 home run power and definitely earned the 25 avoid Ks.
Yes, yes.
Also,
again, he's going to be a guy you can match up with. Again, the game, the game can attack him a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, he might have a lot of those 1-for-4, 3 strikeout home run kind of days. We should come back at the end of the season and see how many times he put up that stat line.
And by the way, one thing with this is I do believe that we are playing this with the with kind of a normal ball, not the AAA, the insane AAA baseball that we saw last year. So I don't think everyone's going to hit 30 homers in this sim.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Because I think this might be. I'll have to double check with Alex, but I think this is based off of the historical accuracy. Probably matches up to last year's season. So
I was going to say, so overall that will detune it because you had multiple levels of normal minor league baseball and one level of AAA happy fun ball Major League Baseball.
Yeah, so this guy might, with that happy fun ball, he might get crazy. He might be putting up some record-setting numbers. Go ahead.
I was going to say I saw that there was a Detroit Fury, and he was mentioning when I talked about he's right when I said about there's not many pitching staffs that can match up with this Braves team. One that I would say absolutely can is this Detroit Tigers team. I think that is the other pitching staff that I would say is probably the best in this sim. In this prospect league, Casey Mize, Matt Manning, Joey Wentz, Alex Fado, Franklin Perez. Okay, we're going to make one tweak even before we start this. Tarek Skubal is going into that. I know we got him set in there as the closer, and I could see him being great in that, but I probably, if I'm controlling the Tigers, he's making a start every 5th day for me because I think he could be one of the best pitchers in the series, in the season. I think he has Cy Young potential this year. I click on Skubal if you don't mind, because just look at his numbers. They're I would expect some of his ratings to be crazy because his strikeout rate when he got to AA last year was just utterly absurd.
Yeah, we've got him with a really good fastball changeup, and also a pretty good slider and curve.
Just touched 100 in a workout, so
he's ready.
He's adding to that fastball.
Alex has already made a note in the chat that he's going to move him into the rotation.
Sweet. Yeah, we don't even have to make any emails afterwards. Alex just listens.
This is perfect.
But I do think I think that this is a team. Now the question that absolutely we're going to face here is how does the lineup match up? Because I don't think that this Tigers lineup, if they're going to do well in this league, it's going to be a lot of 2-1s and 3-2s. That. It's just not a particularly potent lineup. That's my concern. I'm very interested in Parker Meadows, but the reality of it is that when you look at you just look at right here, you just see that there's not a whole lot of 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s in this lineup.
Yeah, it looks like Meadows.
Parker Meadows. He's very interesting, but he's far away, and so that's what we know that's not going to It's 126 games of low A, so it's not going to be And Detroit Fury is right. The 2020 draft picks, we're not putting those in yet for a couple reasons. One of which is Spencer Torkelson hadn't signed yet. A lot of these guys have signed, but he's not officially a Tiger yet. He's still an Arizona State Sun Devil, at least for the very short period of time.
If you look at their roster, the only guy with plus power is Jake Rogers.
Who does have some big league time.
A couple guys with some good gap power in Cody Clemens and Will Castro and Daz Cameron, but other than that, there's a lot of orange on the screen.
And as anyone probably watching this stream knows, orange not so good.
Yeah.
We want to see more green.
You want triple green. Triple green is what you want. That's the key. I actually have filters. I have a triple green filter to find those guys that are free agents with triple green potential, or minor league guys that have triple green potential that nobody wants, so I can try to sneak up on. But
by the way, Cardinal fan is right. Yes, you guys did sign your first rounder, big third baseman from Georgia, high school from Georgia, just about actually I think it was more like a couple of hours ago, but we are seeing a lot of these draft picks signed, um, you know, very recently.
The rating scale we're using is the 20 to 80 scale.
If it's BA doing this, we're going to have to be 20 to 80. That's something, now that's become, I would say, pretty common, and that people know about the 20 to 80 scale. But it's kind of been nice. I mean, when I started working at Baseball America, which is a while ago, we had to, every time we used the 20 to 80, we'd have to say the 20 to 80 scouting scale as used by Major League Scouting departments, like every time, for the first reference. And it's like, now thankfully people kind of understand 20 bad, 80 good.
Yeah, and I think even, I don't remember when I brought it up. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, hey, maybe the potential should be 20 to 80 scale just by default, because we always had it in there, but I don't think 20 to 80 was the default for potential in Out of the Park. I sent an email one day and they're like, switched over.
I was going to say, I want to say one year I remember playing OOTP where I want to say it defaulted as stars, and then I tweaked it to 20 to 80 right away.
Yeah, I think it used to default to stars, and one day I sent an email after a stream. We started a franchise, and someone was like, why is it stars? And I was like, it should be 20 to 80, shouldn't it? Sent an email, we got that switched right over.
A lot more detail, the 20 to 80. So, that is, I do think also, like we talked about it on the podcast yesterday, if I'm picking another NL potential champion, the Dodgers is another team to me that that really has a shot to kind of turn into, a team that could be a juggernaut. And much like we said with the Braves, I do think that you look at them and there's just, it's a good, close to the majors rotation in a lot of ways. And I agree with you, I agree with the stream. I think Gavin Lux could be the MVP of this. He was, basically our minor league player of the year last year, and he's got upper level time. He played the majors last year, and there's a lot of green there.
It's a lot of green. Yeah, he's gonna be really good. And also, I know actually someone was doing a Dodgers franchise on their stream or something. Keibert Ruiz, they've got him, and they're like, what do I do? I have 2 catchers that are really good, and I know Keibert Ruiz is going to be here very soon. Do I move one of them? What am I going to do?
Right. I mean, that's something that the Dodgers have done a really good job of, is that they just keep producing. Well, they just keep producing a lot, but they just keep producing catchers. The thing that you see here that I do think this is a very, he's shown it at times. I love how it has a very high rating for avoid strikeouts, because that is something that's very much Keibert Ruiz. This is an aggressive home run power. That's one of my questions with Keibert, is the power really kind of diminished last couple of years. And I'm kind of interested to see, kind of how that plays in the game. But he's also got a good, there's a lot of, again, he's also got a good defensive rating. But, if you go back to look at the whole roster, this is a team that, if you look at the lineup, I would expect that we're going to see a lot of green on here. And then the pitching staff may be better than the lineup. So that's what, really just kind of stands out to me about this, is there's a lot of, you see there's some more green there. And you look at it, and even again, like you said, they've got, Diego Cartaya, we could also have done Connor Wong here. Like DJ Peters is another guy who has massive power. I think him, like putting him in kind of maybe, picking the right spots for him. Edwin Ruiz, I've had multiple years when I ask prospects who's one of the best, just toughest outs that they face for pitchers. Edwin Ruiz is a guy who's not as well known, but you hear that answer, a lot. And I do think, that again, he's a guy who Edwin Rios is a guy who absolutely could be kind of a surprise in this, because again, he also has plenty of upper level time, and I do think that helps, in a sim like this.
Yeah, 23 home runs and 23 doubles and 31 home runs last season in AAA is not bad, especially for someone who struck out 153 times. So.
Yes. The other thing, and again, I do also think that the Padres, I'm very interested to see how the Padres play on this. And I say that because they have, absolutely one of the best farm systems in baseball right now. But that said, they're a little further away, a lot of these guys. And I think the pitching staff, I think Mackenzie Gore is just going to absolutely be dominant. Luis Patino, it's a great pitching staff. Patino, Gore, and Morahone are all in our current top 100 prospects list. So that's there's not just a lot of green there. There's a lot of
it's got that blue potential there. Coming
there's a lot there.
I feel like Gore might be the early Cy Young favorite in this.
Yes, I was going to say I think he's going to be, but and again, Patino, you're sitting here with Patino. There's a lot of green on this card too, which you put that together, that's going to put them in a lot of games. They've got a very deep pitching staff. Their bullpen should be very good as well. I just don't know if they're going to, when it comes down to at the end of this, are they going to have, are they going to have the lineup to match up with the Braves or especially with the Dodgers when this is all said and done? We talked about National League teams because the lineup is solid. I'm not saying it's not, but you see it right there. There's just not as much, it's not as, a lot of their guys are further away. I really like CJ Abrams, but we're not saying here's what CJ Abrams could be in 2022. We're saying here what CJ Abrams is now, and CJ Abrams for now is basically a guy who had a great year in rookie ball last year. Taylor Trammell is a very interesting prospect, but Taylor Trammell, he's more of an on base and some power guy, lower batting average, solid, good defense. Again, there's a lot there, but I just don't think that when you talk about this lineup, I don't think this lineup matches up with that Braves lineup, with that Dodgers lineup. Yeah. But I do think that these are probably some of the NL teams that I'm most excited to see and see kind of how they kind of start off here as we get rolling.
Yeah, and especially for the guys that are in such a low level, the I and avoid K's ratings are probably going to be low because that's something that usually doesn't develop until a little bit deeper into their careers. So some of these younger teams might struggle.
And against a good team on this, you're going to be facing the Tarek Skubals, the Mackenzie Gores, the guys who are going to pile up a lot of strikeouts. So,
one other NL team I want to take a look at is the Cardinals, because in Out of the Park 20, we did a year-long franchise with them. I think we got to 2026, 2027, somewhere in there. And Ryan Helsley was just amazing the whole time. I think he led the league in strikeouts like 3 years in a row or something. He was really nasty.
And again, we are counting on, and again, there's not just a lot of green. That's not even potential on stuff. It's there.
Yeah, his stuff is definitely there.
He's in the blue range right now as we speak.
Yeah. He'll be doing pretty good, topping out at 100. He's definitely a power pitcher.
Absolutely, and again, this lineup also is pretty solid. I'm very interested. The combo of Dylan Carlson and Nolan Gorman. That's a good place to start. And I'm kind of interested. Lucan Baker, by the way, it's not a premium prospect, but he does mash. He does have power. But Dylan Carlson should absolutely be the guy who carries this Cardinals lineup. And again, a guy who's going to play in the majors probably some. But home run power. But that's the thing with Lucan is some of that's potential right now, not all the way. And Cardinal fan, I appreciate it. That's one of the things we want is we're going to want, we're going to tweak this. But yes, I agree with you. Dylan Carlson batting third, Nolan Gorman batting fourth. That's you want to get. I could actually see Dylan Carlson 2 and Nolan Gorman 3 just from the standpoint of get Dylan Carlson more plate appearances if you can.
Yeah,
so
that's one of the things Alex is working on right now. I think we have some guys that are going to be not playing out of position, but playing in positions that we think they're going to be playing, but haven't really played a lot. Like if a shortstop might eventually move over to third base, you guys put him at third base, so they don't have experience there.
Yeah, we wanted to get the better player in some cases where they may not actually have done it yet.
Yeah, so Alex is just tweaking all that stuff right now to get that set up. Then we can send it over to you and get all that stuff finalized, including lineups if we want to do all that stuff too.
And by the way, I'm going to be making notes myself, Alex, because now that y'all sent me the league file, I can start messing with this too. And I'm not we're going to run a full actual sim, but it doesn't mean that I may not be messing with things on the side too, because again, I am not here as someone who's never. I have dove deep into OOTP. The year I discovered honk ball was the year that I was like, this is insane. And as an indie ball fan, the year I discovered this, like, wait a second, they have retired numbers for like Can-Am League guys. That's just the level of detail is something that I've always just tipped my hat.
Alex, we need to see if we can figure out how to retire Orlando Yantema's number in the Honkball League, because he definitely threw a perfect game to win the Honkball Championship for me a couple of years ago. So I think we should retire his number. He's probably still playing.
Rob Quarterman's the minute he retires, it should be immediately retired, because talk about Honkball legend. I mean, we've been talking. I've been at Baseball America for almost 20 years, and Rob Quarterman was a veteran, a wily veteran in the Dutch League when I started at Baseball America, and here he is some 18 years later, and he's still pitching in the Dutch, and he's been doing it for longer than that. I love honkball.
And since all of these streams always devolve into some sort of hat talk, I'm so mad. The most angry reason I am for this whole pandemic and everything is my cousin was supposed to get married, and we have family coming over from the Netherlands, and my cousin or my grandmother's, my relative over there has my, I don't know the letters. What's it? It's like KVSBB, I think is the letters. My umpire hat that I got from over there. And I think like 2 or 3 more Honkball League shirts or something. So
Hoofdorf, the Pioneers.
I'm so ready for all that stuff to make its way over the ocean and get over to me.
So we probably should also, like, I don't want to ignore the NL here. I mean the AL, because we've been very NL heavy. But I'm kind of interested to see what people in the chat think. But I think that the Rays are one of our top farm systems, kind of year in and year out. But I do think that the Rays have a chance again, not surprisingly. Because again, generally they're very good.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that actually me and Alex were talking about today, because we have. Who do we have? Lucius Fox. He's played shortstop and second base, but we're going to give him some outfield experience.
Which I think if there was a season this year, he would have gotten that.
Yeah.
That's our expectation.
Yeah, so still stuff to do. But yeah, the Rays just have like 4 middle infield guys that are just crazy in Brujan, Fox, Xavier Edwards.
And Wander
Franco. Like,
and by the way, Greg Jones, their first round pick. Like, he's a little further away, but we've got him there too. Oh yeah, by the way, Ronaldo Hernandez, a pretty good catching prospect. Josh Lowe, who, by the way, that's the guy who actually was injured early in the year, but I think is probably fine by now. It's like, that's one of the things. But again, we see some solid guys on here. A lot of yellow. Solid. Not maybe as much green as we saw with the Dodgers, but
not a ton of orange. Most of the guys that are good all over. There's nobody that's super good at one thing and then not great at another thing. Actually, Kevin Padlo, pretty good. Again,
Kevin Padlo had a great year last year. He was another one of these many Rays trade acquisitions. Took him a couple years after they acquired him to really take off, but last year he took off. Last year he really took off, and boom, made it up to the majors. In fact, so I would expect he will mash.
They have guys from Marietta and Murrieta. Interesting.
That is fascinating.
And they also have Shane Baz, which if you're not following him on Twitter, you should follow him on Twitter.
You should follow him on Twitter, absolutely. And by the way, who also throws really hard. We
also have the 2-way on him. Alex, you can take that off, I think.
I've never seen Shane. I shouldn't say that I've never. I think the only time I saw it was in high school. This is the only time I've ever seen him hit. So, but I do think also, as Detroit Fury, you're on it. I give you credit, but I do think that the White Sox, a very good, a very well-rounded team, but especially Luis Robert should set this league on fire.
Yeah.
But by the way, no, yeah, Alex, Boz is not a two-way guy. Jake Cronenworth, who they traded to the Padres, is, but I don't think he's on our rosters on these. But
Paz is
Luis
set as
Robert,
two-way, so turn him off.
yeah, but Luis Robert here, we're not having to ask a whole lot of potential here. It's there.
Yeah, we were.
Oh yeah, by the way, threw a 75 speed on there too.
Yeah, we normally on Tuesdays at 9:00, being preempted for this, we do our Chicago Hope franchise with the White Sox, and in 2020 we were like, all right, Luis Robert, let's put him in center field. You know what? Didn't do good. 2021 we put him in center field, and he was amazing. I think he
need a little adjustment time.
Yeah, I think he might have. Ooh, I almost want to load the save, but I think he went 300, 400, 500 triple slash, possibly. Maybe not 500 with the power, but
so I mean,
he was a beast.
I was gonna say they have like three guys who could all do that because like you could see him do that. You could see Tim Anderson. Well, Tim Anderson may not get the 400. He might get 350, 400, 500. But yeah, I mean, but you look at this lineup. Nick Madrigal is going to strike out over 162 games. He should strike out about, I don't know, 6 times maybe. I mean, so he will put the ball in play time after time after time. This is, I want to give credit to Josh Norris and our staff because he was the guy who kind of put together the heavy lift on most of these rosters for us. He's one of our guys on the prospect team. That said, I think he left Yerman Mercedes off the White Sox, and that will be rectified because I am a absolutely giant Yerman Mercedes guy who could be a 26 guy, man, for their play. Could be a third catcher. But, I mean, look at this lineup. Andrew Vaughn, Zach Collins as well, Nick Madrigal, Mika Rodolfo has some power to him. Basabe and Luis Gonzalez are kind of more like, solid, but bottom of the lineup guys who can hit for average. Put it all together. I'll be interested to see how well the pitching staff does. The pitching staff, Ian Hamilton should be really good out of the pen, maybe Zach Birdie as well. But the starting pitching is not as strong as some of these other teams I think that we've been talking about.
Yeah. And Kopech only 65 stuff. I feel like we should bump that to 70 because he throws pretty hard. But also coming back from an injury. So
and again, but no one's going to get hurt. Like, no one's going to get hurt in this league. By the way, with the Rays, Brent Honeywell very well could be 4 years between outings because of multiple injuries. But for this game, he'll get to be healthy. So that'll be nice.
He's trying to do the Johnny Venters.
Exactly. He got hurt, then he came back and he got hurt. I actually saw him pitch in spring training, like on a side session, which I think is one of the few times, unfortunately, he's pitched in like 4 years. And then he's been hurt again now, so he's going to miss all of this year too. So, But who else is on the AL as a team that interests you?
Well, I just want to comment. Nick Lino in the chat asks, is it pronounced Robert or Robert? And actually, when we were doing our White Sox franchise, I think we spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. And it seems like he actually doesn't care. I think
the answer to that is Pantera. His nickname is Pantera. He's the Panther. And
did I turn off nicknames? Why don't I see it here?
But which we actually thought about doing a cover last year with him. We were trying to figure out when he was in Charlotte if we could get a panther, get him to the zoo, and have a picture of him with the panther. But at the same time, we also decided that we did not want to be responsible in any way for damaging or hurting the White Sox top prospect. So no panther. We ended up not doing that.
Yeah, I think he said in Cuba it's Robert, but here, if you want to call him Robert, as long as you're calling his name, he don't care. He just wants to play.
But yeah, so this is again, I do think. I think that the advantage that if you look at it here with that they're going to have, the White Sox are going to have is, the Tigers have a great pitching staff. Royals have a good pitching staff, but not a whole lot of offense for them. Twins a solid, very deep, organization, deep farm system. So I think they're going to be a deep team. Indians are okay. I think the White Sox are clearly the team. They got the Tigers and them are the two teams for their division. Mm-hmm. So with that being the case, I think they've got maybe a little clearer path than some of these other teams we're talking about too.
Yeah, I feel like in this league, if you're going to have, 2 or 3 good to great starting pitchers and maybe 2 or 3 real good bullpen guys that you can rely on, and like 3 guys that can hit, I feel like you can do very good in this because there's not going to be a ton of teams that are going to be stacked just straight up top to bottom, except maybe the Rays because they have apparently everybody. But
absolutely,
but yeah,
I would agree with you.
That's why I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this whole thing plays out.
I agree with you, Alex, that Oakland is the pitching staff is going to be the Luzardo, Puck, all that combo is when you just what exactly what you just said, TJ. It's when you have two guys at the top. And by the way, Dalton Jeffrey, they've got some other guys here, but look at Luzardo's card there. Another candidate for a Cy Young. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Again, multiple. You've got a 70 changeup and a 75 changeup and a 70 curveball right now. Puck again. Also,
3 blue pitches for Puck. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Stuff is the current 70. And Control's not even bad. It's 45. So, you put this all together, and they're going to start off very well right there. Well, the concern I have a little bit more is you look at the lineup, and it's like, okay, Nick Allen's good defensively. That's good. That's helpful. But Sean Murphy's really good defensively. That's helpful. Sheldon Noisy is solid defensively. He's had some power, kind of up and down last year, but not a whole lot of mashers in this lineup. So, again, but that's kind of one of the things that will be that will absolutely be fascinating on this. That I want to absolutely see, how all this matches up.
I feel like Sky Bolt is a guy that always gets picked up in Rule 5 drafts and out of the park saves.
That makes some sense, actually. he may be headed in that direction. But I'm gonna be. This is not a team that's going to do great, but head over to the Orioles. I'm interested to see what they think about Hadley Rushman already.
He's got grown man strength so far. A lot of green.
Because again, obviously he doesn't have as much, experience yet, but you look at that right there. Again, he's just really good and already, 55 defensively already. I mean, again, if we were doing this a year from now, he would be even, I would say, higher than that. But you're looking, he's got solid power already. He's got discipline, solid contact skills. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, and if you're not striking out and you can draw some walks, you're going to be able to do some things.
I would also, I do agree with you, Sergeant Mushroom, Grayson Rodriguez. It's going to give very much an ace on this staff. Head over to DL Hall. I'm interested to see because DL Hall has a lot of potential, but at the same time, there are some control troubles there that he had last year, which I think was a kind of an intentional thing. They wanted him to focus on quality of pitches and worry less about walks, but you kind of see it there. You've got stuff. What you don't have yet is control. Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see how he kind of, how he handles that.
Yeah, but if you can get that control and grow into those potentials of those pitches, he's going to be.
Look at what that blue could, if we're doing a long-term league, which by the way, I'm not saying I may not be doing at my house myself, with the setting it with all the potential. And by the way, partly also I have to say a bias there. It says city of birth, Warner Robins, Georgia. I'm from Perry originally, which is just about 10 miles down the road from DL. DL Hall went to the same high school as my nephew went to, Houston County High, for a while. Actually won a state title there with Tony Losey, who's now also pitching in the minors, and Jake Fromm, the Georgia quarterback, who is now quarterback for the Bills. Yeah. So to answer the question about Anderson Espinoza, he is still on the Padres, and he also we could put him on here. It's hard to kind of say yes, there is an Air Force Base there. That's why I'm from there, Detroit Fury. Great call. My dad was in the Air Force, and so that's why we were at Robins Air Force Base. That's why we live in Perry. But Espinoza was has been hurt so long that it's great stuff when he's healthy. You notice that past year's number ends at 2016, which is unfortunate when we're in 2020.
Yeah.
So but that's a good call because he is he is a he's unfortunately gonna considering this year he will have the very rare 17, 18, 19, 20. He'll pitch again in 21. Hopefully, he'll have a legitimate 4-year gap on his stat line. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's not big.
Again, the guy who was traded straight up for Drew Pomeranz. I have to say, at this point, you'd say that the Red Sox won that trade because, the reality of it is that Espinosa just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Man, he was a legitimately one of the top pitching prospects in baseball in 2016, 2015.
Yeah,
it feels like, unfortunately, I remember, when he was a Red Sox, he was appointment viewing for a while there.
Yeah, 2015 in rookie ball.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was Lowell, and then he got bumped up, and that looks like that where he's one start in Greenville 8.1, but he also, if I remember that year, pitched in the playoffs. And he pitched really well in the playoffs. So that's accurate, but at the same time, he did show something at low A there too.
Yeah.
Just didn't count for the official long-term stats. What other AL team kind of stands out to you, TJ?
Well, we're talking about the White Sox, who I really like. I think we're trying to. We're turning Vaughn into a DH franchise.
Makes sense.
But we also traded with the Indians and got. Oh, yeah, that's who out there. Boom. See, look how this is how train of thought works. The Indians, because in our White Sox franchise, we made a big trade with the Indians. I forget what it was. But we ended up getting Nolan Jones.
Nolan Jones is you got big power there in Bobby Bradley. I think Daniel Johnson could do pretty well in this game. Yeah. Tyler Freeman's one of the best, just pure bats in the minors right now. Kai Tom's not a great prospect, but a former Kentucky star is a guy who has been productive at AAA. And so, again, I think that could do pretty well in this game. So I'll be interested to see the pitching staff. Tristan McKenzie's had a lot of injury problems. His stamina may not be all that great on this. We'll see.
Yeah, only 55.
But again, that's a solid card right there. But at the same time, there's a lot of potential in Tristan McKenzie. So, that's and
yeah, I think we got Logan Allen, I think, in a trade. I don't know what trade we did with the Indians, because I feel like we took all their prospects on this team. So
my favorite part of that is Logan Allen rightfully tweeted out recently, because in the 2020 draft, the Indians drafted a left-hander pitcher named Logan Allen.
I saw that.
And basically Logan Allen, the original Indians pitching Logan Allen's like, something's got to, you got to take another name or something. Like, you got to pick this.
Yeah, I noticed that before, because I want to say I was looking him up, and in the matching players thing, I saw that there was, because this is from the start of 2020, I saw that Logan Allen is a draftable prospect,
draft eligible
for this year.
And he was drafted by Cleveland. So how crazy is that? Like, you can't even say, like, well, I think the only time I can ever remember this happening before was the Mets. About 15, 20 years ago, the Mets had two right-handers who both had the same name. I mean, there was Greg A. Harris, Greg W. Harris at one point, but one of those was ambidextrous, so you had a way to distinguish them. Wasn't Bobby Moore. Bobby, I can't even remember now. But there was two Mets pitchers who basically were two right-handers who you had to go to the initials on them as well.
Not both Bobby Joneses, right?
Yes, that's what it was.
Bobby Jones?
It may have been Bobby Jones. But I do also think the Mariners. Yep, that is. Thank y'all, guys. Yeah, again, I'm on an OOTP streak. Like, I don't have to, like, if my memory fails, someone next year is going to know this. But I do think the Mariners also, the Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic combo should be really good. Bobby M and Bobby J. Yep, thank you. But yeah, again, Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic, that's going to be fun.
Look, I don't want to name any names, but I was talking to a player in the minors, and I think it was when Kelenic had just got called up to high A or double A. And I was like, yo, Jared Kelenic's going to be playing you guys. You should probably pitch real carefully to him. And I said, you should tell the guy that's pitching tonight. And I think the first at bat didn't. I think the first at bat he might have struck him out, and then he left the fastball up in the second at bat. And I'm not sure if that ball has landed yet. So Jared Kelenick's pretty good.
Yeah. By the way, there are a lot of mustaches in this game this year.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on. Maybe it's just because we're all in the house that we've all just grown this. These
apparently,
things.
it's all pandemic, facial wear, But
this is going strong since March 14th or something. So.
Yeah, my beard and facial hair game. Unfortunately, as the older I get, the grayer it now would be. So I'm sticking, But there's a lot of of handlebar mustaches and all. But check out Julio Rodriguez. I want to see what Julio Rodriguez's card looks like too, because some of this is is new for me. Because I haven't really dove in player by player yet.
There we go.
But Julio's not in the okay. We will fix that. Julio will be in the lineup. Note for Alex. Julio Rodriguez in the lineup. But,
I think Alex should just give them all beards.
But Julio's clean shaven. And yeah, Evan White, who probably has, I would expect to have one of the best defensive ratings at first base on the game, in addition to be also a very solid hitter too. But yeah, so this is is absolutely another team that I'm going to be very interested to watch. And let's see, 75 at first base.
Yeah, quite good there.
Yeah, you're not gonna see a lot of that ball got away from him. Yeah, and
gap power. He's another one that's going to be real good, especially even with just 50 I and 45 avoid Ks, alongside of 55 contacts, 60 gap power, and 50 home run power. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Then Olaru's not a terrible comp for him. He's more of a gap guy than he is just that pure masher. He's also exceptionally athletic. The athleticism when he was in college at Kentucky, the comparisons at the time, and I'm not saying he's going to be Cody Bellinger, because Cody Bellinger's a better hitter, but it's much like Cody Bellinger. He's a first baseman. When he was at Kentucky, the Wildcats really thought about playing him in center field, but then they decided that he was so good at first base that they couldn't waste him at center field, which sounds really crazy because on the defensive spectrum, center field's a whole lot higher than first base, but they're like, no, he scoops up every throw in the dirt. He makes everyone on our team better defensively.
Yeah, we don't have outfield ratings for him right now.
I don't think he's really played it yet because,
Yeah, if he would have played it, we would have it in there, so.
But he has that ability, I would say. It is fair to say.
Alex, make sure you add hidden ability to Evan White to play outfield.
Yeah. But that's the insights we try to provide.
They have a pretty good team. I mean, they got a couple guys that in Milkar and Mulvey who aren't like super
Kyle
great.
Lewis on here too.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis
on here too.
Really good.
I mean, again, this is. I'll put it this way: you're not going to have a problem with this team trying to figure out, do we have a DH? And by the way, Cal Raleigh is also another one who, because he had a pretty monster year last year, he's another one to watch. So there's he does have outfield skill, just no playing time and experience. That's because OOTP is deep. I love it.
I'm not saying that we're the deepest thing in the game in the world, but I'm also not saying that we're not the deepest game in the world.
Again, this is how I like my games. I play OOTP and I play racing sims, and the ones where it's like, if I do another 1,000 laps here at Nürburgring, maybe I'll learn the track at some point. That kind of thing.
It only takes 13 minutes to get around it, but
yeah, it takes about 20 for me because I end up, somewhere, in that middle section. I will end up off the track. But again, the pitching staff is, I think, Kirby, Gilbert, Williamson, Justin Dunn, Justin Sheffield. There's guys here too. So Mariners might be one of the, if I'm going to pick a sleeper, they might be a sleeper here.
They might be the AL West. Man, they could come out.
I think they could. Angels also going to have a good outfield because you've got Joe Adele, which really gives you a starting point of, again, one of the best prospects in the game. But yeah, I think Mariners A is kind of battling it out,
Mm-hmm.
in the West. But
Yeah, Joe Adell looks
Brandon Marsh
pretty
as
good.
well. But yeah, Joe Adell already 55 power, 55 gap. So
Did he get hurt? Why do I feel like he got hurt?
briefly in spring training, but he's back. He should be fine again for this non-season. He'll be a. I mean, I would say this year, this may speed up his clock a little bit
Mhm.
because you want him playing, so at least he's going to be on taxi squad. And if he's on taxi squad, then why aren't you going to use him?
Yeah.
They have a two-way guy though. Jared Walsh here, who had 30 or so home runs in AAA last year, and by the way, throws 96 out of the pen. So Jared Walsh is listed as a closer, but he does have. Yeah, I mean, what? How many closers do you have in the game who have legit power
He's
too?
right now he's set up as the closer and they're cleanup hitting first baseman.
That's awesome.
So he can do both. Yeah, he hit 36 home runs in AAA last year.
I mean, he legitimately does both. And by the way, we're not playing with the MLB two-way player limits, I believe, correct?
Correct.
So we don't have to mess about. Don't worry, he can do that. I think we also did put Brendan McKay.
We just made sure Brendan McKay was set to go both ways. Because did we look at McKay's card?
No, I don't think we did.
We should look at that because I looked at it earlier. Brendan two-way McKay, so he's pretty good. He's got the stuff. He's got a sick curveball, and all of his other pitchers are really, really good. And batting wise, he's got a very good eye. He's got good power. I think he's going to be pretty good. It might come down to like him and Walsh for MVP if they can put up some of the numbers.
The Shohei Ohtanis of
I think it was either this year or last year we did a franchise where it was like Ohtani won Cy Young and MVP, got Tommy John surgery, came back, won Cy Young and MVP. I was like, all right, that works.
John, if you'll do that. If you get Cy Young and MVP 3 out of 4 years, you'll take him missing the year in between.
Yeah, it ended up pretty good for him.
Yeah, but again, I am fascinated to see where we're going to be going with this because this is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, so the way that we're going to try to have it work is, so today was just kind of obviously the rundown of what's going on, how everything's set up, how the league looks. We're going to finalize some stuff for the rosters in the next couple days. Then what we're going to do is we're going to sim 2 weeks into the future, and then we're going to come back on stream next Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to kind of recap the stuff that happened in those 2 weeks, catch a couple highlights. Should we turn the crowds off? Should there be nobody out there? Just to keep it real? Or, I mean, we can fill it up.
I want filling it up. Come on.
We'll fill it up?
Like, let's remember the good old days when we actually could go to baseball games.
And then, so like the first half of that stream, we'll do the recap of everything that happened in those last 2 weeks, check out the standings, see who's been doing well. And then I think the plan is going to be to play a game. We'll pick one of the games for that next day that looks like a good matchup or something, and we'll go into the 3D mode and play that out. I know JJ's going to be here for a couple weeks. I think we're going to rotate in a couple other folks from Baseball America, or maybe have multiple on at the same time.
Absolutely.
We'll see how that works out. Again, now you can head over to baseballamerica.com. You can pick up one of their memberships starting at $6.25 a month for the digital membership. I have to get Rich to buy me one of those. And you can read.
And we're gonna have a full. We'll have a full. We'll also have full standing stats and everything that we'll be posting. Every week.
Yeah, they're gonna have. I think you're gonna have the stats, the box scores, everything that you're gonna get in the game. Pretty much is gonna be able to be up on Baseball America, and also you can check out JJ's latest piece on why the MLB can no longer afford to treat minor leaguers like seasonal athletes. I just dropped a link in the chat.
Thank you.
I think that went up today.
That was my column that went up today. Yep. How minor leaguers should be, have to train all off season. So why aren't they being provided the tools to do that?
And you can also follow JJ on Twitter at JJCoop36. Highly recommend doing that. You can follow us at OOTP Baseball, also at OOTP Perfect Team, if you like our card collecting mode. So yeah, we're going to take a break on the Chicago Hope franchise for a little bit. But
I've got to get in a perfect team. I have not done that yet, but that is something it is on my to-do list for the future.
Oh, well, then you know what you need to do is you need to subscribe to twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. Hit the follow button. Turn your notifications on, because Thursday nights, I believe 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., you're definitely going to want to check out Chris's streams this week in Perfect Team, where he releases a bunch of new content and stuff. If you want to get into the mode, that's a great way to get in. Chat's always popping.
Awesome.
Also, we have a great Discord server at discord.gg/OOTP, where people are talking about their leagues, talking about their perfect teams, and all that stuff, as well as our forums at forums.ootpdevelopments.com. I think we have streams here every night of the week now. Most nights 2 times a week, or most nights have 2 streams, so a lot of stuff going on. I think we got Rich and Alex actually coming up in just a couple minutes, continuing their Reds franchise. I think that's everything. Do you have anything else, JJ, that you want to talk about, promote?
Again, we're baseballamerica.com. We have we're also covering all the stuff that's happening with the major leagues. Thankfully, being back, yay. But also going to be looking at a lot of stuff that's happening with the minors. We're already looking ahead to the 2021 draft and many other things. But I'm just really excited to see. This time next week we'll have info. We'll have 2 weeks of games played, and we're like, this is what surprised us in a good way. This is what surprised us in a bad way. This is the tweaks that we're going to have to be making. And again, everyone tell us, I appreciate, Dylan Carlson. Yes, we'll move him up. We want your feedback. We want you telling us how. I don't mind you telling me that I'm being an idiot with how I'm using your favorite team's lineup.
And like we mentioned, we did an OOTP Now podcast with Rich yesterday that went up today. And there's some other stuff in there. So also, when you're over there, go into your podcast app of choice and search for the Baseball America podcast as well, and subscribe to that.
Recording another one of those tomorrow.
Bunch of college shows. I think the last 2 are college shows.
Yeah, but we're talking tomorrow about the MLB, all the MLB, now coming back. That's what Kyle Glazer and I will be podcasting about tomorrow morning.
Is it official yet? My phone is not blown up yet, so
It is official yet. It is official. I just got a release. I just got a release from MLB just a couple of minutes ago that says MLB announces 2020 regular season.
Excellent.
Players report July 1st ahead of July 23rd, 24th openers, 60-game schedule. And they will largely feature division play with the remaining portion of each club's games against the opposite league's corresponding geographical division in order to mitigate travel.
Are we doing those weird divisions, or are we keeping the real divisions?
Sounds like it's going to be real divisions.
Okay.
It's going to be, you're going to be battling, just like normal, but you won't play any other team. Like the NL East teams won't play the NL Central or West, but they will play the AL East. So that seems like what's going to happen.
Interesting. Especially since I just realized the Braves' 2 closest teams are the Rays and the Cardinals, geographically. So that's weird, but sure.
That is weird.
Well, the Rays were also in the NL West for a long. The Braves were in the NL West for a long time, so
they were.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll watch these. Watch the season play out. However, this is I don't know. I don't know what we're about to see in baseball. This is going to be weird and amazing.
Baseball's back in some way.
Yeah, I'm very happy for that.
Oh, and the other thing is we will eventually have also a way to download that you can basically get your own version of this. As a quick start.
Yeah, once Alex finishes getting all the stuff finished up, we're going to try to get the quick start set up and available for everybody. It'll probably go in a patch and it'll just be there for everybody. I think that's it. I feel like we covered everything.
I think so too.
All right. So yeah, if you want to stick around, Alex and Rich are going to be here for the Big Rich Machine Reds franchise. JJ, thank you and Baseball America for doing this with us. I think it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be a blast.
All right. Thank you guys again. Stick around for the next stream or hit the follow button and turn those notifications on. Because again, we got streams every night of the week. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, folks.